right. Welcome back to Throttle Stop Moto Podcast, brought to you by Pandora's. I am Justin.
Jeff Griffith.
And today's guest, I'll let Jeff introduce.
We got Greg Hatcher with Man in the Box.
Good to be here.
Man in the Box.
Yep. MNNTHBX.com.
That's confusing.
It's a story all its own.
Let's hear it.
Well, we step way back to when Al Gore invented the internet.
Okay. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess, in my late teens in the bedroom. I heard about this email thing. You know, I didn't know what that was, right? So I did my work and had to set up an email address. And so, you put Greg, at whatever. No, it's taken. And, 85 options down the line. You really don't have anything. And Alice in Chains was playing in my room, Man in the Box. So I thought I'll just strip all the vowels out of that. And that left me with MNNTHBX, which is, it's fun to hear. A lot of people still try to pronounce that.
All right.
And it doesn't come off good.
It's,
There's pros and cons. You can't, I sound like a hick, right? So if I'm on a phone call, business, somebody in California, I might as well be speaking French. But you can get a website easy. It's not hard to come across domain names.
Yeah.
So whenever you came up with the business name, it's just, I've got this email I've been using. Let's just use that.
Yeah, that wasn't a business name. The beauty of it is the worst business name in the world.
Yeah.
Clearly. So that had been my email address for X amount of years. And then I was on various motorcycle forums over time. So my screen name was MNNTHBX. And then I accidentally, I didn't even really start an official business, but I was dabbling, making some side money, and it was all on those forums under that name.
right.
And then eventually I was probably going to go to jail for tax evasion because I accidentally started a successful business, which was great. I'd been a health inspector for 14 years at the time. Loved that. It was actually a fantastic gig. But I had this runaway business. Our initial goal, I wanted to make $200 a month so I could buy a new helmet. My wife didn't complain.
Naturally.
And that was really the end game to the whole entire thing. But as machining goes, if it's as easy to make 10 of something or 100 as it is one.
Right.
And so things kind of just honestly got away from me.
Sure.
And I was making more money at home at night, but I'm not financially driven. I chase happiness, and I didn't want two jobs. So I had two jobs.
So you've got a partner in this, Kevin. How did he get into it?
Well, I'd left the state, and quite honestly, it's a funny process. For the first 6 months, you don't feel self-employed. You feel absolutely unemployed.
Yes.
You know what that's like.
I know exactly what that's like.
Your
More
wife,
than once.
Your wife goes to work, and at 11, you've got bed hair, no deodorant, you're in sweatpants, and you're just thinking, this can't be legit. And then you go to, sales are okay at the time, and it's kind of, those numbers are comical looking back on it, but they were doing okay. But you think somebody's going to catch on and realize I'm not a real business. It's just going to somebody's going to turn the off button. They're going to hit the switch on your business, but that never happened. But
that feeling never goes away, though, does it? 7 years later, I still feel it.
I'm 50 now, though, right? So not that I want to retire, but I'm thinking, at this point, if it all goes to crap, I'll do something, mow a yard for 2 years and call it a day. But no, to Kevin, it didn't take me long to realize I was at least a two-man business by myself.
Yeah.
So this joyous thing that I was doing of my own creation, by and large, was just taxing and working myself to death. And, because we run parts to anodize, that's a 2-hour round trip, or to powder coat, or, well, if you're the shipper, then you're the assembly man and the marketeer, and then you've got to take 2 hours to. So I struggled along with that forever. And mine and Kevin's boys played soccer together, and he's honestly a spectacular business partner. I convinced him to come on. He was a postmaster in Pigeon Forge, and he'd been there for 20 years and making really good money at the time.
Good retirement.
Yeah. He was set up, but he was miserable, right? Because it was straight reports and corporate and somebody yelling at you overnight.
It had to take something to convince him to leave that.
His misery did.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those deals, and we said, look, I'm not making a ton of money, but I'm the happiest guy in the world. And that's ultimately that he's wired like me. That's what he's chasing more than any big financial deal. So Kevin came on as a business partner. And then we built our facility, I want to say 11 years ago now. And we operated for roughly 3 years as a 3-man business run by 2. So I'm right back in the same deal. And then we brought on Grant, who's a tremendous team player, and he's been with us for quite a while. And in the last 2 to 3 years, we brought on Zach.
Yeah.
So we're a 4-man crew. And it's funny, both of their stories, why should I take a pay cut? So I'm not selling you the job. I'm just telling you, maybe I'll make you rich, maybe I won't. I'll make you so happy. and that's really the framework of what we do on a daily basis. I mean, we're 4 friends. We don't have employees. We have true teammates that are invested. We all love what we do and love each other. And it's fantastic.
And I guess that's, we haven't really touched on it yet. What is it that Man in the Box does? What is Man in the Box?
I don't know. That's kind of a loaded question, right? So I'll tell you, I'll back up a little more and tell you how this whole thing started. I've loved motorcycles since I was a kid. Since I started riding when I was 5. Hadn't quit yet. And I was on a car drive up in the Smokies one day. And something a year prior, I'd seen a Honda Ruckus. Didn't know anything about a Honda Ruckus, but I'd seen one. I thought it'd be kind of neat to get one of those, take to the beach, get a cup of coffee and a newspaper type of deal. So a year later, I'm driving through the mountains by myself. I looked over and I saw this older gentleman sitting on the side of the river eating a pimento cheese sandwich with a Ruckus. And for whatever reason, I just instantly turned around and U-turned. When I said, "Hey, buddy," I said, "How you like that thing?" And the guy just exploded. "Oh my God, you got to get one. You got to get one." So I went and found a 09 Honda Ruckus. I'll never forget, I brought it home. My dad said, "Son, that's the dumbest thing you've ever done." Okay. But again, I was just going to go get some coffee on this deal. Had no clue there's aftermarket for it, but started tinkering with parts just to fix mine up. And then that's how it kind of turned into the forums selling stuff without a business license and fraudulent and all that. So
it's like, hey, man, I can make that part.
Yep. So initially, we manufactured, or we sold only our proprietary product that we manufactured. All of that's made in Tennessee.
And so was this around 2009 when all that was going on?
Yeah. Okay. This all kind of started probably 2010, maybe 11, somewhere in there. But to answer your question, initially, we designed innovative products, manufactured them in Tennessee, and only sold those items. And then as the Grom came out, that changed the whole entire landscape.
The Grom blew everything up.
Well, I knew it was in a good spot because I had no industry connections at this point, and I was on the computer at the house, and I saw this picture of this thing. And I said, "Honey, come here." My wife came in there. At this point, I'm doing Ruckus business. She knows that's my livelihood. I said, "I need to go get this motorcycle, right?" And she said, "Absolutely." And I thought, I'm living right here.
There you go.
But that changed everything. So again, that same road, we're designing, manufacturing, selling only our products for that bike. And as that expanded, we probably did 75 parts. And then we started bringing on distribution. But we've always liked to be a boutique shop. Mm-hmm. We're not about big SKUs. We're not about price point stuff.
Right.
And quite honestly, in our market, we compete against so many Chinese vendors. Yeah. And so I equate it often to, it's a Rolex versus a Swatch. I mean, they both tell time accurately, right?
Yep.
But Rolex still sells watches. And it's foolish for me to compare Rolexes to what we do in the Grom world and so forth. But it's still kind of...
It is a level of quality higher. And I noticed on your website, you're saying we're not up here to compete against your Chinese manufacturers on eBay.
Right. You're not going to find our stuff on Amazon. We don't care anything about that. I mean, we do our thing. And there's always a demographic, no matter what you're in, that prefers a higher quality piece. Yep. Right?
Yep.
Which much the reason why I'm here today, because I just bought a new Ducati from this man here.
What'd you get?
I got the 698 Mono, Supermoto. So
you're the one that got it. That's going to be my next bike.
I've not ridden one.
You haven't ridden it yet?
No.
Oh man.
No,
I can't wait.
I just sold I've owned a lot of motorcycles, fortunately. A Repri RS 660.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite motorcycle I've ever owned. It's a total package. But in my old age, man, I just don't ride as much as I'd like to.
Well, I mean, you saw my Supermoto out here.
Love
and
it.
So I want to upgrade. Well, not upgrade, because I'm not going to sell that thing.
Right.
I've had that since it was brand new. So I've had that bike for almost 8 years.
Really?
But I want the 698 mono so bad because I want a supermoto that's got a little more power.
Yeah.
And then I've got a multi-strata rally
Okay.
that I got from them.
Yeah,
And
it's got some legs in it.
Oh yeah. But
So-
yeah, that mono I want so bad.
Oh, it's a great looking bike.
It is. God, they're
he
beautiful.
he tells me it rides as good as it looks. I don't know.
I would assume it does.
He might throw me a sales pitch.
I don't know. You're always going to compare it to the KTM because it's the only other thing in that category, unless you count, KTM has 3 different brands.
Right.
KTM is far and gas, but it produces power in a lot higher RPM range than what the KTM does. But if you do the exhaust on it, it fixes all that, and it's got more power everywhere you look.
Yeah.
So,
Which
I'm
I'm
excited to
gonna
do that. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think a lot of people who get that bike are going to leave it stock.
No. So that's what
It's a looker. I'm excited. But
And he's probably going to make some parts for it.
yeah, probably will. I can't get that right.
it's a tax write-off.
Yeah, that's true. It's a developmental piece.
Yeah.
That's if my wife watches this. That's me doing it for you, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we got this thing.
That's why we started this podcast, so I can start writing off all my motorcycle parts.
I love it. No, I had 2 supermotos years ago, Huskies, and a 510 and a 610.
That's a good.
Oh, the 510 was wicked, right? And at the time, absolutely loved them. But your tailbone can only take so much of that.
Yeah.
Good
So-
night.
You know how motorcycles, you always want something. It does something great because it does something
Exactly.
bad, right? So you're always chasing that next
That's
thing.
why we have more than one.
But how many times have you bought a motorcycle? All of us in our life, we've looked at motorcycles, we bought them, and then we get them home and realize that the seat's just awful, or or there's just one feature, one little thing that just bugs you to no end.
True.
But even knowing that, you're gonna have fun on whatever you got.
I have to admit, I'm still the teenage kid though that I can ride through some agony because I'm having a
Right.
good time.
It's not a big deal after you get
Yeah.
out there and you have fun on it. I mean, sure, by mile 400, that's a real pain in the butt,
Yeah.
literally. I did 12 hours on a Beta 520 Supermoto one time, going up to the Dragon and riding the Dragon a few times and coming back. I was standing up at 80 miles an hour on the freeway for miles, and I'm lucky a cop didn't see me.
That's the problem with us living here, right where we live. Is
Yeah.
you live just close enough to the tail of the Dragon that's like I can ride up there, and you go up there and you ride all day, and you're like, God, now I got to ride
See,
home.
we're like 30 minutes away from the shop.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm jealous there.
yeah. Y'all are in a good spot.
But the 510 was bad because you couldn't pass the gas station. So for us to go to the Gap, I'd leave full, get gas on the way up, make a pass or 2, get gas,
Yep.
come home. I was out of gas.
Yeah,
But it's funny you say that though, because one of the things I'm looking forward to after being on a sport bike for a while at my height and yours as well is the ability to stand up.
yeah.
That quick stretch. I mean, I could do that on the RS, but it really doesn't stretch.
I rode a GS recently with lowered foot pegs, and I'm like, this is what other people feel like on motorcycles.
kidding,
Like,
right?
this is what everyone else feels. Like, I love this.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love traveling on the multi-strada is I can just stand up whenever I want to.
Yeah.
I was riding my CBR a couple of weeks ago and did a pull on the highway. And I fully tucked in and my hips completely locked, reminding me how old I'm getting. And then I tried to stand up when I got off the interstate. It's just your butt just goes up in the air. Like
I had no idea that's completely illegal to stand up. Do you know that?
Yeah, no,
I've been pulled
I
over
learned
for
that.
it 3 times, but never gotten a
I
ticket.
watched my friend get accosted one day. For
Yeah.
it,
It's especially on like a supermoto, and the cops are like, "You can't be standing up." I'm like, "That's how you control a dirt bike."
Yeah, he was on a KLR 650.
Yeah.
And it's more dangerous to me to have your hip absolutely lock up than just
Yeah.
stand up for a minute.
Well, it's also like I got pulled over. It was like 100 degrees outside, and I was like, "Dude, I need to stretch and I need to air out a little bit." And he's like, "Well, pull over," and I'm like, "I'm not going to pull over every 10 miles.
Yeah, no. that's
It's
not
100
happening.
degrees out here."
And I think that just comes from a lot of cops not being motorcyclists, and the people who ride our
The
laws
guy who
are
pulled me over
motorcyclists.
told me that he was a motorcyclist. He was like, "I ride every day," and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah, I'm sure you do.
You got to
Yeah.
understand, right?
I don't
thought-
believe you.
he thought I was going to like start pulling wheelies and stuff, and then he realized I'm an old man.
I got that back from a UTC cop one time. I was on my supermoto, and I was like, there were people around, so I'm like doing my slow speed maneuvering. I'm standing up because
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
how you maneuver.
That's how you control a bike.
I got screamed out so bad. That cop did not like motorcyclists in general.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's a list of offenses that I don't care to stand in front of my church on Sunday and say, I just got busted doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those. Speeding
Yeah.
tickets, don't care.
But I've never known anybody actually get a ticket for standing up on a bike.
No,
Yeah.
it's a warning. It's a verbal.
Well, it's a
abuse.
reason for them to pull you over and check your registration.
Yeah.
I got pulled over on my Grom in Fort Oglethorpe.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, he actually admitted to it. He was like, I just wanted to make sure you had a motorcycle license. I was like,
Because you're
okay, well, good thing I didn't have my GoPro.
So, Greg, I met you probably 2013, 2014, whenever the RC 390 came out.
Yep.
You guys came and bought one from us.
2.
You bought 2 of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't get a free shirt with those purchases.
Maybe.
I've got that.
Did you get an RC and then a Duke, or did you just get 2 RCs?
No, we got each. So I think
Okay.
we got the Duke, and initially it was a little more difficult to design around. And
Right.
we thought, screw it, we'll get the RC too. And I'll tell you, those are fantastic motorcycles.
They are, yeah.
And back to ergos, me and Kevin go on long trips on those, and since our business owned it, like we just switch every time you stop. Man, it's pressure relief. Total different bikes as far as the ergos. But yeah, those are great bikes.
I think that's a ticket to riding long distance. Is you got to have a friend with a similar enough bike that you're still comfortable, but you're
absolutely
swap back
you
and
get to
forth.
swap different pressure points on the seats.
absolutely.
We just ride together.
No,
Swap.
no.
That's the butt.
Nuts to butts from coast to coast.
That's a separate podcast, right?
That's a whole different website.
Yeah.
Hashtag don't Google that.
His face will come up if you do.
Nice. All right. We're keeping
Oh, the
professional
visuals.
here.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the worst motorcycle you've owned?
The worst motorcycle I've owned. Oh, man.
I'm trying to think of mine. I don't know. Hopefully, it didn't too bad, or you shouldn't have bought it in the first place, right?
No, I mean it's hard to say. Like I said, there's not been a motorcycle that I've been on that I just haven't enjoyed.
True.
I will say there was a year or two where Beta came out with a 430 RS, and the initial 430 RSs that I got had the European airbox on them, and so you had they were breathing through a hole as big around as my thumb, and they were so choked up that bike did not perform, and I took that thing all the way down to Croom, and it produced good smooth power, but it was not enough, and at least I didn't dig into the sand, right?
Thought you were on a KDX.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt wrong, and I would say that's probably the worst thing I ever had. It really wasn't one I owned; it was a demo. But I love the Beta motorcycles. I love them to death. But that was a major issue on that year.
I've got a Beta question. I was in your dad's shop. I guess the first time we met.
Yeah.
And if my memory serves me right, you had full size frame Betas with a 125 engine.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time, did you ever see that bike?
I don't think so.
Oh, it was so gorgeous. But and it would be.
What did it look like?
It looked like a full-size Beta dual sport.
Really?
Yeah.
But with an air-cooled.
I may have seen it and just not knowing what it was.
Well, at the time, if I were a millionaire, it'd be the ultimate play bike if you had a pit bike track in your backyard. But I always wondered who bought that because.
But they were slow.
Well,
they were so slow. Whenever they tested them at Glen Helen, they told us not to go up the hill.
Because it won't make it uphill.
It wouldn't make it.
Well, it was a full-size bike. So I always wondered, though, whoever wants that power is probably 9 years old. And can't fit on the motorcycle.
Yeah, and can't touch the ground anyway.
If you can fit on the motorcycle, you don't want that motor. That was the weirdest.
It seems like a bike that they would sell overseas where you have to build up your endorsement
and it was kind of
for your license
test element here.
Yeah.
So if you go over to Italy, they have full-size bikes with 50cc two-strokes in them.
Well, yeah, because you have to. Because you're licensed. You have to ride for so long before you can get a certain cc or horsepower. We don't have that here. You can start on a turbo Hayabusa here.
And that was the point behind the 390 was to have the most motorcycle you can have with an A1 or A2 license, whatever they call it. But it's at 42 horsepower. So they wanted to have the maximum amount of horsepower available, and there you go.
Wild.
But
they obviously didn't catch on.
No, well, they did. We're talking about the 390 Duke and
the 390, yeah.
Yeah, so they really did catch on as far as entry-level bikes, and that's what you guys specialize in. And I think from that experience, you learned it was cheaper to borrow a bike for a weekend than to buy them.
Yeah. It's worked out good. But we do have some great partners. You being one of them.
Yeah.
Corporate Honda is great to us. They get us a lot of pre-production bikes and stuff that people don't know actually exist yet.
So you have it before, and you can do some development so that when they release it, it's
exactly. There. Yep, exactly. They've been really great to work with.
KTM probably doesn't like that because they want to sell their own power parts.
Yep. Yeah. The people that I personally dealt with at KTM were all great people, but that's not really an avenue they want to explore because they want to give you that hard parts catalog.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's more like monkeys and Groms and Ruckuses and stuff like that, they're like such a cheap kind of entry level. Like they expect people to modify them.
And we were talking about that on the way over here. Is like you're talking about suspension. Only in shock, only in suspension, you could spend $2,000 on it easily, and you're putting that on a $2,000 bike.
$2,000 bike, yeah.
You said, the manufacturer doesn't care how much your bike costs.
Yeah, if it costs to make a common component.
Yeah,
take a handlebar, same handlebar in a Grom, or I can throw in this new Ducati, right? So whatever it costs to make the handlebar, they don't cut that price in half because it's going on the Grom.
Yeah, I had a really expensive handlebar set on my Grom.
Yeah,
because they don't make a cheaper one just because it's
what
a
year?
Grom.
What year are you on?
It was a 17.
Okay.
Yeah,
Still got it?
First year of the new. I lost it in the divorce.
So why small bore? Why did you focus on the small bore aspect?
Well, a couple of reasons. I mean, honestly, I stumbled into it because I wanted that dumb Ruckus to go get a newspaper on. So that was kind of the mold I was already in, right?
And you've made some really hopped up Ruckuses.
No, it was great. But again, when the Grom came out, that was a stepping stone. So many people gravitated, like much of my customer base, 2/3 of them went from a Ruckus to a Grom. So inherently it makes sense to, to go down that road. But the outside of business, have you spent much time on a Grom by chance?
Not a ton, no.
Okay. You cannot ride one and not have a good time.
Yeah.
you just can't. So when we do these things with the Ruckus Grom, Z125, whatever it is, I mean, it takes you back to when you're 8 years old riding a mini bike again.
Yep.
Because look, you're not out picking up women on a mini bike. No. you're not impressing your friends. I mean, look at this new machine, right? You're only doing it because it's fun.
Yep.
And oddly enough, it's actually a bike for everybody. If you stop and think, because if you've got a Panigale track bike, that's a great second bike to throw in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because so many people racing. They're great fun race bikes that are super affordable, to maintain. And that if you're a new rider, it's fantastic. If you live in downtown Charleston, perfect commuter is getting 125 miles a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a stunt rider, that's one thing. I've never really been into stunting until the growth of our event.
Yeah.
And I cannot help but respect the talent of some of those guys. It is incredible what you can do on the ground. So I honestly, I don't know what segment of pure motorcyclist can't get something out of a mini bike.
What's what got me back on a street bike? Was a like I bought a Grom for a pit bike at the motocross track, and then started riding it on the street.
Yep.
Then went and got the CRF and converted it to a supermoto, and then went back and got another CBR, and then just kept going up from there.
Yep.
And so the Grom was the reason that I got back to street riding.
Were you on the Grom alone or in a group of friends that had them?
I was alone. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Grom kind of started something. You went from the Grom to like the Z125 that came out, where it gained a little power and lost a little weight, and then you had the Grom got remade. You got KTM, yeah. You got KTM entered into it with like the Duke 200, and now they have a 250. And then you guys started like from the 390. 390 was initially the biggest you guys were going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that the focus there being, you had to find your niche, right?
Yep.
And
once you found that niche, you find that there's a market for this stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's a huge market for it because like if you're a Grom guy, you're a Grom guy, because like you talk about the 390, that's in a bigger frame,
right?
That's more like a full size bike. Sure. A Grom,
we're on 12s.
The 125 is like proportional to the size of the bike.
8 horsepower.
So a guy that's my size, and when I bought mine, I was like 250 pounds, and so I looked ridiculous on it, and so it was just hilarious.
Is that the first time someone called you a baboon?
No, I got called a baboon in elementary school.
Especially if you're riding with friends in a group of mini bikes.
It's so much fun.
Well, it dials down, everything's to scale, right? I know you like adventure bikes.
Yep.
Well,
they're giant.
We used to take 12 guys on the Ruckuses, 3.5 horsepower, and we would leave Knoxville and get on the Blue Ridge Parkway over through Asheville and stay a night. That's the same as getting on a BMW and going to Colorado.
Yeah, the Blue Ridge Parkway.
No kidding, right?
Yeah,
I love it.
Sucks.
But, until you've made that trip, because I tell you what, at 6,200 feet of elevation, that motor's making maybe 2 horsepower.
Yeah,
and you initially you get over and let people go by because you're in the way.
Yeah.
At some point you can't because that's all you're doing, and it looked like a parade. We'd have 100 people behind us, and you know they're so pissed off, but ultimately it brought them some joy. Like they're all waving, taking pictures of you.
Well, when they're stuck behind you, they think you're a bunch of kids.
Yeah, right.
And then they get up next to you, and they realize you're a bunch of grown men. They're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's great.
And so then they get happy because they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of grown men out here having a blast.
So that was our unspoken rule. You're never allowed to smile. So, and you don't know how hard that is, right? So, you're at a stoplight in Gatlinburg or somewhere, 12 of you sitting here and just trying to look like you might knife somebody at any second.
I thought the same thing.
It is so hard. Or I always like the Harley riders, you could throw them the low. And they just kind of seize you. They didn't know, should I wave this guy without my friend seeing me? Should I ignore him? Oh yeah, you can trigger some cruiser riders on a scooter.
Oh, I deuce everybody up, man. I don't care if you're on a moped or a bicycle.
What you're talking about, like barely make it up the hill. You guys did the 24-hour thing.
Yes.
On your video, it says your average speed was 31.94 miles an hour
on a bike that'll run 40.
Yeah,
that's moving
at Barber.
And that's counting dinner.
On the ruckus or on the Grom?
24 hours on a ruckus.
Jeez.
You need to check that video out. It's honestly, it's a good one.
Yeah, I think I've seen clips of it.
Volunteered his child as tribute. You're talking about him getting off of the bike.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
If you've not seen the story, the nutshells, we picked his son Ethan, who's a spectacular kid, super athletic. He's in great shape. He's a military kid, so his mind space, he's really, really tight.
Yeah.
But he's never ridden, which is perfect because he was totally ignorant to what we were asking him to do. He said, this is going to be so fun. This is going to be so fun. and the documentary, it's about 15 minutes worth, but it'll play all that out. But
he just threw him straight to the fire, didn't he?
It's honestly, it's amazing. And I knew it'd be really, really difficult.
Yeah.
But watching it unfold in live time, super proud of the kid, and just what he did was
that's awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That making the bikes do stuff that they weren't meant to do is like the kind of stuff that I love.
Yeah.
I always like making things that weren't meant to be fast. Like,
absolutely.
With cars, I try to take a 4-cylinder Mustang and make 500 horsepower out of it. Like I do that kind of stupid stuff. So like taking small bikes and doing stuff you're not supposed to. Like I've had an idea for a while. Y'all may have already done this, but since I used the Grom as a pit bike at the motocross track, the problem I was always having was clearance and not having knobby tires on it. And so I always wanted to do like a trip where you convert 3 Groms to adventure bikes. You kit them out the best you can as an actual adventure bike and do a tour on it.
Oh man,
Ari Henning and Zach Courts got on 2 Honda Monkeys.
I saw that. Mexico. Yeah, I saw that. They did the Baja on that.
I spoke to Ari today, by the way. He's on his way to Vintage at Barber. They restored his dad's 50-year-old race bike, and he's gonna race Saturday and Sunday.
Was that the one that they did
I'd seen some snippets.
The sidecar
no,
it wasn't the same bike they did.
This is a pure.
Because I remember an episode where they pulled one out of his dad's garage, and it was a sidecar race, and they did a tour on that thing. That was hilarious.
It's typical of their style. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm in the back of a short bus heading somewhere."
Goodness.
He's working on this motorcycle in the back of a short bus headed down the interstate
while they're driving down the road.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, no, I like bad ideas.
They make the best videos.
Well, to that point, for videos in the past, Aaron Colton, I don't know if you're familiar. He's Red Bull's top stunt rider. He lives out in Malibu. Fantastically talented individual. But we took a typical Chinese go-kart dune buggy, like it's for sale everywhere at Christmas, and cut the back of it away and put a LC4 KTM in the rear of this and welded it rigid. So the guy, we call it the truss fall. So the guy sitting in the go-kart seat had the steering and the brakes, and the guy on the KTM had the gears and the throttle.
Oh man.
And so you couldn't drive it alone, but it seemed like a really great idea until on that episode, Aaron flew in from California, who's the craziest guy in the world running the throttle. It's in that moment, we couldn't have picked a worse human being.
Worse full throttle
to do this with. Oh gosh, no! I don't know how many times we flipped and tipped, and we did it at Highland Park on that big motorcycle.
Oh jeez!
So how the front of that Chinese, 3/4-inch steel dune buggy didn't blow in half, I don't know, but it was pretty amazing. After we survived it, it's good to reflect.
Y'all took it on the track at Highland Park or on the trails?
No, on the track.
Oh my god!
It was a good time.
That's not an easy track.
Man, it's hard to synchronize like where you stop hitting the throttle and enter the brakes, like make that a smooth transition, even when you're by yourself.
We didn't hit the brakes. You just steer, and you run out.
He was just holding on for dear life.
Exactly. You run out of steering lock in a hurry. You're just switching all,
Oh.
let it be over. Let it be over.
He was steering with the rear end the whole
He
time.
100% was. 100%.
That's
So,
hilarious.
yeah,
And down,
it was a good
throttle
time.
out.
We did. But we've done some pretty dumb things over the years. We built a penny bike with a ruckus engine.
Yeah.
So, like I think the front wheel was 5 feet.
5 feet.
Yeah. You familiar with like a penny farthing?
No.
Yeah, the old school big
from-
front pedal, the giant front wheel, tiny little back wheel,
Yeah.
like in the Victorian days.
So we had a ruckus
Whoa.
rear wheel and a 5-foot front wheel. And Harry actually got to ride that one. But the challenge there is you're actually climbing a ladder while you're taking off. So it's no different than taking off on a motorcycle if your seat height was 6 foot,
Yeah.
which presents its own set of problems.
Yeah.
My dad and his crazy redneck brothers, there was 4 of them. They took 2 bicycles and welded them on top of each other and then
Love it.
brought the chain down. And so you would have to like stop on the side of the house and climb
Yeah.
up a ladder or climb into a tree or something.
Where does all that stuff go nowadays, though?
We
Right?
tried that crap. I think our generation was kind of like the last of that, because I know you and I were always broken as children.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
always doing stupid stuff.
I'm guilty of this myself as a father of 2. They're both grown now. But, I've put my kids in a lot of helmets and been overly cautious. But, when I was growing up, yeah.
Dude, every day when I was a kid, like we lived kind of out in the country. Like we had like our neighborhood was just one street with a bunch of houses out in the middle of a bunch of fields. And every day when I got home from school, you just jump on the dirt bike and just take off.
Yeah, exactly.
And like mom and dad didn't even know where you were. Like they could hear my 2-stroke off in the distance. That was about it. And if they,
Oh, he made it home.
yeah, well, I mean, it's like if they heard it quit running, then he'd jump in the Jeep or the truck and come down and come looking
That's
for
the
me.
only thing
That was
mattered
it.
to me
Yeah.
as a youth. If my parents, any punishment, you lose your dirt bike for a set date.
Exactly.
The only thing
Dirt bike in my 4-wheeler.
I guess in that attribute, it was probably easy for them to do that.
Yeah.
It was.
That's something easy to turn off.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's a computer or the iPad.
Oh, I tell you what,
Yeah.
my poor son, he's brilliant, love him to death, and he's 21 now. But when he was younger, he's very, very book smart, loves to read, which it's not me.
So,
So,
yeah, like, where to get that from?
well, no, I'm glad he is, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
awesome. It's fantastic, but it was so foreign to me. Like when I was learning to be a dad, I'd walk through the room, see him reading a book, and I'd start to like jump on him, put that down, go do something.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, like a lot of kids like to play games and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
I said, but I kind of got him cornered here. I said, son, what you need is a hatchet. I said, it's all I needed when I was a child. I built so many forts. I could do anything with a hatchet.
Yeah.
And he said, well, get me a hatchet. I said, too late now, you kill yourself.
Yeah.
you didn't,
Yeah, you didn't learn
grow
early
up with
enough.
it, right? So all of a sudden he wanted this hatchet he couldn't have.
But talking about all this fun, like you guys have gotten people together. You've had like a small bore crawl through the Dragon, and that eventually turned into Barber Small Bore, which is no more.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll start all the way from the beginning though.
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
So I, while not professionally trained for this, I love marketing and promotion. And way back in the day, the whole ruckus industry was by and large, there were some exceptions, but mom and pop shops or some kid running it out of his mom's basement, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bickering between these places online, trying to, look good, make the other person look bad. And that whole thing just always seemed foolish to me. And a lot of those guys would always hold rallies and events, and they would pull 20 riders, maybe 40 riders, which is I love grassroots. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's where I'd like to be at now. But
Come lead one of our rides.
so, but I just wanted to see what we could do. I said, because we live in the greatest area in the world. I feel like I'm in a position to market this better, not amazing, but better than what had been done before. So we threw one 10 years ago in Townsend, and our goal was to get 75 people. And if I recall, about 250 showed up, and we had a really, really good time.
That just shows how much fun small bore is.
It's so insanely fun. Well, the next year that's 600 people, and
Yeah.
the next year that's 1,000 people. And I was at this point in time growing tired of it, because what people don't realize behind the scenes, that's a second job.
Yeah.
You don't just make a lot of people think, hey, you make a Facebook group page and this just pukes out, right?
No.
So,
Well, and you got a ton of liability building up, and you're making the neighborhood mad.
well, yes and no. So it was a stressor on the neighborhood for sure. But by year 4, we'd seen about 1,300 people there. And I was absolutely exhausted from this deal. And the community loved and hated us. We're their biggest revenue generator and their biggest noise generator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the community was split, but we developed great relationships with the police chief, with the director of tourism, with the mayor.
They liked
So
it, yeah.
yeah, they did, and we had great communication, and we all became good friends. So we were having good level conversations. But the plus side is we lost a ton of money doing that every year, but we generated a ton of cash for charity, and that was one thing that me and Kevin both invested in heavily. So I think we generated over those 4 years $83,000.
Wow.
It was great, and just all sorts of off the wall charities that help humans by and large. That's what we wanted to help. We got a passion for kids, so we did a lot of stuff with kids. And I'll never forget the year before we left up there, we did some charity that had raised, I want to say $20,000 in 20 years. And that year we were able to give them $35,000 that year. And it was to help underprivileged children in the Townsend area go to college. So that was good. But so our last year that we went up there, people yelled at me all the time, this event. I mean, I felt a lot of complaints, but I was in a Subway 2 days before the event. And this country woman was making my sandwich, and I'd never seen her before. She looked up and she said, "Hey, you're the guy that puts on this event, right?" And I thought, "Oh, God, here we go. I'm about to hear it."
Yeah.
I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I just want you to know that you all sent my daughter to college last year."
That's awesome.
I mean, so it made everything worth it. But anyway, moving.
That's exactly what you want to hear.
Right, no, it was
like people don't get that feedback.
No, and I tell you, it's a little bittersweet. So at that point in time, that was year 4 or 5, and me and Kevin had come to the conclusion that this is too much. It's too much work. We love it, but it's just exhausting. We're going to do this. Probably we're actually at the event. This is probably the last one. So we were there in that headspace, and about that time on Sunday, this lady in her mid-60s comes over there. "Are you Greg?" And I thought, here we go again. "Yes, ma'am." So she pulls out a phone, dials the number, hands it to me, and it says George Barber. And I thought, "Oh, that's kind of intriguing." He said, "Greg, I hear you got something good going on down there." And I said, "Well, we're trying." And he said, "Would you be willing to do it at my place?" And I said, "Absolutely." And the timing couldn't have worked out better because we had outgrown that town. A lot of accidents, because you think a lot of these people are coming from Nebraska. They came from all over the country, right?
On public streets, a lot of accidents.
You're from Idaho, Nebraska, and okay, now you're slinging it through the gap in a group of 1,000. It's just bad.
First time you've seen a curvy road.
Right.
No, I mean, it's like going through the Black Hills at Sturgis. These guys have never ridden a Harley up in the mountains. It's the same thing.
Same deal. So when we went to Barber, and that was kind of hurtful because we got so much kickback online. We heard so much stuff that we got thrown out of town. We sold out for money. I mean, it's how the internet works, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, we lost money every year at both venues. It's never been about revenue. We didn't get thrown out of town. Those were all great friends in those parties. But it was really for the betterment of the event is the reason we moved, because several things. We could, for the first time, introduce a stunt lot, because those stunters stunted nonstop. They were just doing it down the middle of the highway.
Yeah.
Right? So now you've got a stunt lot. Okay, we could add road racing. We could add off-road. We could add drag racing. We could add all these things. And a beautiful thing about Barber is, it's 880 acres. So you come on a PW50, well, that's not street legal. You're not riding that through Townsend.
Right.
Well, you can ride in there for 3 days.
Yep.
And have a good time. Now,
well, and you can, like, you did an 85 build, like you got actual dirt bikes, and you have stuff now on your website for 65s and 85 SX.
That's a fun niche, but
yeah,
for sure. But the whole Barber experience was fantastic. And it came to an end this year, and I'd be lying if I said me and Kevin didn't see that coming really in year 1, because we professionally do stupidity, and they professionally do professionalism.
You're good at it.
It was you got to get something right, but it was an odd fit from day one.
Yeah,
and I know it was torture to their staff, and a lot of those people I like, but they went as far as tell me they turned the security cameras off that weekend. Just don't even want to know.
Oh,
but it had grown. Same progression, bigger and bigger and bigger. And really nothing new happened this past year, same tomfoolery, and there's a lot of chaos goes on that's really not in their mold. And I appreciate that. I understand that. But it monsooned. So now the property was just ripped to shreds. And that's when they
don't like that.
No, they're
That's
not
a lot
big
of money.
fans.
Man, they groomed that area so
It's a lot of money to fix
Well,
all that.
Apparently you had people washing motorcycles in the showers and, you know,
it'll fit. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll fit in there. But it was a great ride, and I appreciate everything we were able to develop together. But I understand totally how that went. And quite honestly, as good as that was going, that's 1 decade that we've invested in putting on these events with no intent of a return.
Yeah. I mean, and that just goes to show, though, like if you are one of the people who's bringing your motorcycle into the shower, or if you're one of the people doing donuts in the grass,
you ruined it for everybody.
You ruined it. Like it's totally on you. And you know, anybody who's listening to this, if you know you're the person who did it, you know it's you.
But, you know, if you come full circle, back to the grassroots events, though, I would kill to this day to throw an event where 65 people showed up.
Yeah.
But I'm not going down that road because a year or two, it will start down the same rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're in
So you're not
now.
looking at replacing it?
Charge $500 to show up.
Nah.
You try to make it as affordable, you know, as
Well,
possible.
that's how you limit it.
Their bike's $500.
Yeah, I guess. I think, honestly, I would rather, in the course of our business, support other events.
Yeah.
Where we could actually get out and not work.
Yeah, actually enjoy it for
Talk
once.
to customers, do some riding,
Yeah.
enjoy that while we market and support.
You'd rather sponsor an event.
At this point, yes. Not in its totality, just, you know.
So are you going to Barber Vintage Days?
Kevin is.
Okay.
Brandon and Daryl. We've got 3 guys going down.
Okay.
Take that in. I hadn't been in a couple years. I'm a little busy right now, and they've got an extended trip after the fact. They're headed south. So I'm going to set this one out. But they've went the last several years. I do love it. If for those that hadn't been there, have you been to Vintage?
No, I haven't.
It's hands down the best motorcycle event in this country.
Really?
I think so.
How far is that from here?
3 hours.
2.5 hours for me.
That's not
He's
that
an extra.
I can ride the Ducati down there.
Oh, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
I think, 80,000 people now?
Yeah, it's huge.
And it's the greatest demographic. I mean,
and every manufacturer is there. BMW is making a big deal about it with BMW Motorrad Days. They're like the title sponsor.
I think so.
And you got Armor Flat Track Racing. I mean, this is not going to publish by the time that happens, but it's awesome. It's this Saturday. I'm going. Well, sorry, it's Thursday through Sunday. I'm going Saturday.
Starting tomorrow?
Yeah.
You're going to have to subtitle this for me, anybody west of the Mississippi. I've run into this in other productions. They're not going to know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, they will. It'll be all right. But yeah, when we clip everything down, you will have subtitles. Yeah, we're really good at that.
I had 6 Benadryls I snorted right as I came in the door to try to slow me down just a little.
So
Jeff gave me some
G Fuel
Bolt and a lightning in a bottle or whatever.
Like it.
G
Fuel. Yeah.
You notice his left eye's twitching.
It's a little spicy.
But I wanted to talk about so Man in the Box, now that you are where you are today, you've branched out into a lot of other brands.
Yeah.
You've done a lot with us with KTM and Husqvarna, and I know Husqvarna has been a really major, great seller for you on tail tidies. And I'd say you guys specialize in tail tidies like that. You guys have the cleanest looking setup that I've seen. It has a single LED for the tag light. On most of the models. I mean, I don't know everything.
We try to use that general concept across them.
Just made one for the 990 Duke. Is that the biggest bike you have something for now?
Yeah, I think so. Up to that, I guess the Aprilia 660.
Yeah, you can't help but make something for the bike you have.
Bits. Yeah. You know, I do tend to make some parts for bikes I buy, but that's
you can see in that.
Is this
picture,
one of your kits on the Grom here?
Yeah, that's kind of just a standard package we like. Actually, Nick Lacoste was the curator for Barber, and he bought a Grom, and we kind of surprised him and fixed that up.
Is that y'all's tail light?
That's our fender eliminator, not our tail light.
Okay.
We sell that tail light, but it's nothing we manufacture.
But you see how small that fender eliminator is and the blinkers that go with it. I don't know if you pulled the picture on that 990 that I shared it today in our advents. But it is literally a single LED, or I think it's only a single LED.
Yep.
That's in there, and it doesn't take up any more space than is absolutely necessary.
Nice.
It's funny, it's a design language, right? So most of our fender eliminators, I like to think you could replace other fender eliminators with. So is that a fender eliminator?
Eliminator, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we strive for. I'm less is more guy.
Well, and you've got capabilities now. We talked about carbon fiber printing.
Yep.
But electrical, are you guys doing all the LED stuff yourself, or?
No. We've got partners. Custom LED does a bunch of that for us, and a few others.
So those the blinkers you put on the 990,
Rizomas.
Those are Rizoma? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought they were yours.
Yep.
No,
I wish. But back into selling good stuff, right? That maybe not be cheap. That's got Rizoma written all over it.
Man, and when you're talking Rizoma, typically you're not talking cheap. And that tail tidy that you made for that 990, it has Rizoma blinkers on the back. How much is that retail?
You got to hit me with this right out of the gate. If I'm on the prices right, I'm gonna go $300.
Okay.
we're somewhere in that range. But and that seems that's really expensive, right? Until you price those signals, they're like $100 a piece.
Absolutely. I mean, and you look at Kevin was telling me that whole kit doing the rear and the front was about 500, maybe $600.
I don't know, it wouldn't be that high.
Even though the Rizoma's on the front. I'm talking about the rear and the front.
No, we couldn't get Rizomas on the front. That's an XK product on the front.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you were saying that was Rizoma.
No, and there's some size restraints on the front of that bike.
Yeah.
That causes some issues internally on what we can actually mount.
Yep.
So the XK's got a much smaller base. What about the new DAX?
New DAX? I don't know anything about the new DAX.
Talk to us about.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about it other than the world's been waiting on it forever.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be in dealerships in several months, but I have got one coming from Honda to the shop this week, actually.
Nice. So you'll be developing something for it.
Yep, that one's setting the world on fire. I don't know how familiar you are with the original DAX, but they did an outstanding job making that look much the same.
I mean, it's like a cross between a trail and a monkey.
Somewhat, yes. I think that will be wildly popular.
So how is that size-wise compared to a Grom or a monkey? It looks...
it's going to feel like a slim monkey, I think.
Okay.
Oddly enough.
It looks taller.
I think it's just because it's slim.
Yeah.
But it's all steel backbone. They kept all that true. It's pretty neat. They've done some stuff. I'm not going to see one in real life yet, so I look forward to this week. We'll get started and see what we can do. Something crazy there, hopefully. We tend to, there's a fine line when we do these custom projects. You want to make it custom and unique and eye-catching.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you want to do it with parts that a customer can replicate.
Right.
So
and afford.
Well, right. And it's not necessary for lack of ability, but we don't get into a lot of customs where we're just really chopping stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't sell that stuff.
Well, what happens is the customer will contact you. Hey, I need that. And I mean, you answer these. We've done these things in the past, and 5-6 years later, I absolutely have to have that part.
That's a one-off. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, and you had some trouble with the 990 as far as making sure that it was, bolt-on ready. Like, and it was a difference between going. You said you had XKs that were on there that just kind of interfered.
Yeah, it was a load issue. So I'm not really one to speak on it, but I don't know how familiar you are with CAN bus systems. But it's just a giant brain in a motorcycle, where the brain in that KTM was way too smart for a simple turn signal.
Yeah. Same thing with the Ducati when they first came out. Remember, we couldn't even put my fog lights on it.
Right.
Because they didn't have any of the resistors or anything ready. You had to get
a can opener with that and make sure everything worked perfectly.
Yeah.
So with this, you tried to make it so that someone can order the part,
absolutely,
take off what they have and bolt it right on.
Yeah, so y'all did all the legwork for it.
Ideally, we'll design our products in such a way they don't require instructions.
Right.
I like stuff that's intuitive, basic, clean, minimal, those sort of things.
You definitely reach the minimal part. It is very nice and clean, and I wish I had it to pull up right now. I'll probably do that real quick. But
we can add it later.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. But I've got those pictures on our website. I priced that bike a little bit higher just to, not get rid of it as quickly as the others. And if someone wants to get rid of it more quickly, then sure, have at it.
That's a great bike. Have you spent any time on it?
I didn't spend a lot of time on it. No, I've taken it to the gas station. That's about it.
Well, we didn't make it that far. I bet it's great though.
But it feels right. It feels really good. I don't want to put a lot of miles on something that's not a demo yet. But
hey, we did roll it around the shop. I was shocked how light that bike felt. And I know it's not on the scales. It wasn't particularly light.
No.
But it felt extremely light just moving it.
And it's meant to be a hooligan bike. I mean, you got other bikes in that category. You're talking about like MT09s and things like that they compete with it as far as having the power and having that lightweight aspect of it. But KTM always tries to bring it up to the next level by providing really good braking, really good suspension, making sure it's something that you can stand to ride for a long time, and isn't going to break down right away. And I'm not saying Yamaha is going to break down right away. I'm just saying that they really do put that into it, and they have the mentality of ready to race. So you always want to put a little bit of that into it.
What's your thoughts on that Yamaha headlight?
I mean,
I don't know who their designer is for headlights at Yamaha, but
I can't talk with the 990 Duke though. It's all an acquired taste.
You should, because the Yamaha is the lone bike that's making that 990 headlight look good.
Yeah.
It looks like a transformer that didn't quite make the squad.
Yeah. You're right. It is an acquired taste. So, and I like all the accent lighting and LED stuff. That's all played well, and it's something different.
I mean, look at how the car industry is going. You got all kinds of different headlights right now. I mean, you got ones that are totally just one beam right across.
And for you electric car people.
Yeah. I was just talking about, he's almost got me converted to a Maverick. He's got a really nice one. He's souped up a little bit. That
okay.
I'll have to check that out. Loaded right up into the back of it. We didn't have to start it and use the engine to help us up. It was awesome. Yeah, shout out to Mountain View Ford over here. You know, we're associated.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
we'll check you out a Ford Maverick.
A little advertisement there. But no, I'm impressed.
You can pay us later. We'll send you a bill.
But my point in saying that is you have all these different weird headlights, and I think Kia makes the weirdest looking ones.
Yeah.
Hyundai a close second. They're basically the same company. But I'm not surprised that you're seeing that in motorcycling, because we've been having, like, to me, in not the last 5 years, but before that, everything looked like the GSXR. The GSXR had an awesome looking front headlight for the longest time, and everybody copied what they have. And like, you had BMW that had the asymmetrical headlight. That was kind of the first one to branch out, but now they've got two little headlights down there. So I like to see someone doing something a little bit different and a little bit edgy, out of the box. And man, KTM, they have done that a lot.
Historically, too.
Yeah.
You know,
they've been doing that a long time.
What a great market we're in now, too, though, because it wasn't too long ago. It was all sport bikes, full-fired sport bikes.
Exactly.
Which I enjoy. I think we all probably enjoy riding that, right? But the reality is all of these standards and nakeds, and they're just far better street bikes.
Well, and everybody who had those sport bikes got older. And you're talking about being in someone who's over 6 foot in a frame. We get on an adventure bike, especially your multi. We get on an adventure bike. That's what most people feel like on sport bikes.
Sure.
Those ergonomics line up perfectly with us. And so we ride these sport bikes and we're like, how did you ever get on it? Like, I cannot fit my foot under the gear shifter of a Tuono. But
every time I get back on my CBR after riding either the Supermoto or the Multistrada, it's just like all of a sudden now my feet are all behind me, and it's just like, this feels so weird.
But you learn that the wider, more upright stance is better for the turns, for the tight stuff. If you're going to the Dragon, a sport bike's not the best bike up there. A Supermoto is.
The Supermoto all day.
And it's
I'm going to Suck Creek after we're finished here. I got to go get some miles in.
You usually got 60 horsepower or less, but you're outrunning these sport bikes who just can't keep up.
It's a momentum bike.
Well, if you step back to 1990 or 2000, at least at the time in my mind, there was only two types of motorcycles made, that being a sport bike and a cruiser.
Yeah.
And
unless you rode a dual sport.
Well, yeah, if you're
and that was just a dirt bike back then.
But if you're going out with your buddies, I mean, to motorcycle shop, we got to have these GSXRs. You wouldn't have even given any thought to a good standard or naked bike at the time. If there were, and I'm sure I know some were available, but clearly not the scale they are now.
I mean, the closest thing you had back then was like a VFR or something, or like an FZ6.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They had better names in, though.
Yeah, they did.
The Interceptor.
Yeah.
I mean, the great bike, really not so much.
But it was just like, even that bike, even though it looked sporty, that was like an old man bike. Like, you're not cool, bro. You know?
Well, and bikes used to have like a separate name like that. They'd have like their model number or whatever, and they have a separate name. Now the names that we put on bikes just describe the bike. It's a 701 Supermoto. Like, it's a Supermoto. Name it something.
I much prefer that to Harley Davidson's nomenclature.
Oh my goodness.
Which I've never understood.
FLXTR.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing here.
Well, it's like those were meant to be their like internal code.
Yeah.
Modeled codes, and then they like came out and like somebody started using them, because those are like, you've got the Dyna, the Street Glide, the Road Glide, and all that stuff.
Soft tail, rider, Dyna,
and it's like, what is the difference in all these? And then you go to the letter breakdown. It's like, I don't understand. Is it a Street Glide or a Road Glide or a Road King? Like, what?
Kind of loses me there.
Yeah. It's all over the place.
You're talking about earlier bikes in the 90s and sport bikes. I will say this. I'll never forget this. 1992, I saw the Honda CBR 600 F2.
Yeah.
and I knew nothing this beautiful had ever come before. And I thought, honestly, they're done with motorcycle design. This is as good as it can possibly get. I mean, and you look back at it now, and the tail section alone is 2 feet tall.
How much more could we do? Like, it's getting to that point. Like, how much more is there?
We said that 20 years ago.
I know. It's just amazing that they keep finding another place to do it. We just talked about the automatic transmission that BMW is coming out. Yesterday, KTM announced that they're doing the same thing.
I mean, I feel like
different brands.
I feel like I'm riding a robot on my Multistrada with the radar cruise control and stuff, because that thing will hit the brakes for you.
And we get mad about all this stuff, all these rider aids. We don't want to see traction control and ABS ride the bike for us. But then we look at our buddy who can't ride a bike, and we're really glad that he has those electronics.
Yeah, or else he wouldn't be riding.
He'd be dead, or we'd be dead because he hit us.
Or he wouldn't want to ride to begin with, because he's going to get out there and scare himself and then quit.
And I think that the automatic transmission is something that's going to bring more people into it, and you're going to see that come out with some entry level bikes. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, people can talk crap all they want to about that kind of stuff, but let's be honest, the people that are designing these things and selling them are a lot smarter about it than we are, and they're not going to put it out there and put the R&D money into it if they don't think it's going to sell.
Well, right now, we all have every different manufacturer has their own slice of the pie, and these automatic transmission things and these things that get new riders into it are only going to grow that pie, and it's kind of the only way that they can go.
New and old riders.
Yeah. But it's the only way that they can go. You either got to keep your old riders into it. You got to find somebody who you can put on a bike. You got to find someone you can put on a bike and then not be worried about stalling it and falling over every time they go to a stoplight, because that happens now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of situations where that is a benefit to new riders and that sort of thing. But I don't know when the last time you've done this is, and I don't search out scooters. But if you jump on a Bergman or a big scooter, and for some reason just take off, it's like, that's the most enjoyable. It's like a lawn chair. I mean, you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
You're just cruising.
Yeah, you just hit the throttle and it just goes.
You're talking to somebody who has an electric car. Like, I'm not, you had electric motorcycles that do the same thing. And you're really simplifying. And I think one of the biggest things, you remember when the Yamaha YXZ came out, the big side-by-side, it didn't sell for crap. And I say the biggest reason it didn't sell is that you had other brands out there that had a CVT transmission, and it was a simple thing that anyone, even though if you couldn't drive a stick shift, could get in and just go out there and hit the throttle.
That's a great application for a CVT if there ever was one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Their skill level is drink beer.
That's true. That's true.
But, so before we close out, I've got a couple of things that I really want to ask you about. One, what in the world is this?
That is Papio. A CF Moto Papio. That's been out about a year and a half. To be honest, I wasn't terribly familiar with CF Moto as a brand. I assume you are, Jeff, but
they're Chinese, right?
They are, which I'm not a fan. I'll be honest with you. I don't even like Chinese food. That said, that said, the build quality on that bike is impressive. Really? But they've got a couple bikes. 450 sport bikes.
Yeah. Been seeing a lot of videos of the 450,
and the 675. I've got people in this industry, high up in this industry, that are really in the know, that have bragged on those bikes and said they're outstanding.
Now, we can't be bragging on other brands. We but no,
it creates competition. It creates competition that's going to bring everybody up
into the entry level.
Rising tides raise all ships.
Historically, the death knell to these sort of experiments is distribution network.
Right. And I think CF Moto's got it. We talked about in a couple episodes earlier that KTM has their partnership going with CF Moto, and they use CF Moto to build the 790s and the 790 Adventure and the 790 Duke right now. That's part of it. I don't like that they're working with China, but it definitely makes a price point that you can get into and have a respectable bike, because you're getting in those mid-level ranges, and you've got people who have like a Multistrada like you have. They might have a second bike like this, and if it gets out of a certain price point, there's not really a place for it.
Yeah.
And they've proven, that so many of these bikes are Thailand now, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of manufacturers go to Thailand. Ducati does on their scramblers, and you see a lot of it from
the lower end KTMs, right? 390s, don't they?
No, those are Bajaj. Those are India.
Okay. But on a similar note, though, that's again, am I a huge fan of that? I don't know. You can nitpick that bike over and see some, issues that might not be there if they were in Austria or Italy or whatever the situation be. That said, it opens up a price range that people otherwise couldn't get into.
I've been really impressed with their build quality. I know
I agree with
Triumph is working with Bajaj right now. Have you've seen the Scrambler 400 and the Speed 400?
Mm.
Those bikes, for the price point, they're like right around $5,000 or $5 or $55.
Incredible value
going to that. Yeah, the value is insane.
So to me, obviously, the clear cut thing here is what standard do you hold that manufacturing to?
Right.
That's the important thing, more so than where is the manufacturing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, I think BMW does a little bit of that sort of thing, don't they?
They use Kimco for their scooter engines on the 650 for a long time. I don't know if they're using Kimco for anything right now, but they've had some Chinese manufacturing as well. And it's just, you know, they didn't do as good of, they did a way better job than KTM did as far as handling the narrative on that. But you know, we picked on KTM.
We already covered that in depth.
Yeah, we covered that.
Please explain to me what I'm looking at here.
Okay, that was great. So, so Barber Small Bore every year we try to do at least one display piece and custom. So I hit Honda up and I said, listen, I really want to do this Supermoto ATV. So that's a TRX 90.
Nice.
And we went,
I have one of those in the garage.
Well, don't do this with it. I can tell you don't want to do this, but this is great. We've got a great relationship with Olin's, and they're very, very particular about applications and part numbers. And for instance, I think it was a trail when the Honda Trail came out.
Okay.
We already had in the house Olin's monkey shocks. So here comes the Trail. It might have been the Super Cub, one or the other. But anyway, we put the shocks. They're identical shocks. Called them up. Say, hey guys, just so you know, exact same thing. They said, no, in Sweden, they'll have to start all over. It's got to be its own part number. It doesn't matter if it's the same. It's got to be something different. So I know they're really tight on that stuff. But when we got on this, I called up Mike Hensley and I said, Mike, I need some mountain bike shocks at a certain length and the spring rate. So it's got, I don't know if you can see the picture, it's got Olin's mountain bike springs on the front end, Olin's on the rear. But there's no adjustable camber or toe or anything on a TRX 90.
Yeah.
So it's a total death trap. It's really cool to about 4 miles an hour, and just instantaneously it was going somewhere, but you didn't know where.
Straight into a bicycle.
It would do anything but go straight. It was brutal.
Nice.
But
it looks cool though.
Oh,
those are fun.
It was awesome.
I got it for my daughter.
Yeah.
And we ended up just riding it around in the backyard, just doing donuts and popping wheelies on it.
I don't like people climbing on my stuff, my bikes. I'm really particular with stuff. But that year at the event, I looked up and there was like 4 Japanese guys that were just all over it. I mean, jumping up, down on it, having whatever. And then I pieced together, it was Honda corporate execs in Tokyo.
Nice.
They're like, huh?
They absolutely
Dude,
love
that's
it.
one thing I've never understood, why you can take a dirt bike and make it street legal, but you can't take a 4-wheeler and ride it on the street.
That's probably why.
They do in Europe. Like that's
It doesn't make any sense here. Like you can put side by sides on
do
the
in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not legal.
That's legal. Yeah,
That's a different thing.
I mean, they can keep up with traffic and they're safer than a motorcycle in a lot of cases. So it's like, I don't understand.
You know,
I disagree.
you got I do. You got some flipping issues, but you know, when you wreck a 4-wheeler, it tends to run over you.
Yeah.
They chase you. Yeah, for sure.
Now, it takes a higher skill level to ride a
But it's easier to go.
motorcycle. But my problem with it taking a higher skill level means that more skilled people are on it. And
Most
you
of the
get
time,
some
yeah.
people on an ATV. Everyone thinks they can ride an ATV, and half the
of
time without a
course.
helmet on.
Because you feel secure.
Yeah, you feel like you have 4 planted wheels.
Yeah.
That taught me enough. I want no part of this concept in the least. Hey, you know, I think it might be. Look how much traction you've got right there, right?
Yeah.
Compared to, you know, you can get loose and drift a ATV in.
Yeah, but then when it
channel
catches
field.
back, you're.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's caught
Yeah.
where you even started there.
We are like running out of time. One thing I wanted to touch on. Oh, you
This
wanna touch on
last
that?
thing, I want to
Okay,
know
fine.
what
you do
what
that
that
first.
is, and then we're going to close it out.
You want the quick notes? That's our
Yeah.
buddy Faith Riding Johnny, and he's got I think a Kimco scooter up under that.
Okay.
He's a road racing instructor, tremendously talented rider, but that's just a novelty. He busts out.
Okay.
Although he's fairly fast at the Heron compound, he's got the lap record, Sea-Doo lap record down there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sea-Doo lap record.
Yeah, you know, hey, it would be versatile, you know, in this this hurricane situation.
Yeah, that would
it might be a
It's
there
an
might be a
amphibious
niche.
boat.
You just gave me an idea for a meme.
put a paddle boat on the paddle tire on the back.
Nice.
But I wanted to ask, so we've done projects with KTM, we've done project with Husqvarna. I imagine we're about to get something for the 698. I mean, I'm sure that's eventually going to happen. It was something. We could do like the Speed 400, Scrambler 400. I know that those are things that probably have been on your radar.
Yep.
Is there anything that we can look forward to with Man in the Box that you are working on or looking forward to as far as new capabilities or new product lines that you're coming out with?
Well, the obvious one on the front end is going to be that DAX will be the priority because that is our bread and butter. But to the bikes you mentioned, I think you're going to see more middleweight stuff.
Yeah.
The Triumphs especially are great. I always struggle with the situation with this Ducati. And of course, I'm excited to go home here in a bit and see what, my brain starts doing. That said, nobody with a Ducati knows we exist.
Right.
It takes a while to develop that. So like the Triumph guys, we already do some Triumph stuff.
Yeah.
The Aprilia guys. So you can bleed over because that ends up in the same social media and forums and groups and all that. But
I will say that one thing that you guys could do and what the industry really wants right now is a solution for the Panigale. I know that's way outside of
in
the
regard to
small
what?
bore.
FE or what?
No, Panigale V4s.
No, I'm saying fender eliminator or what?
Yeah, fender eliminator. Sorry, you said FE. I'm like, what is that? They need a good fender eliminator. You got New Rage. They do a good job on it.
Yeah.
But I think it could do better. It could look better.
I'd love it.
But I think that would be a way to get into it. And the thing is with that bike in particular, if you build it, people will find it. And it's about having that one thing that, if you do it better than everybody else, you're going to get the sale.
So that's oddly enough, that's why we did so well with the KTM 390s and Husqvarna.
Yeah,
is because compared to our typical Honda market, that was 2% as large.
Yeah,
we had 100% of that 2%.
Right.
Nobody did anything for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then after the word gets out, it's so much of this stuff. Oh, this is where I got that. And
it's about finding where that need is.
And it took off. Yeah.
And they're redesigning the V4 right now, so you know.
Get ahead of the game.
I hate that it's not really right in your niche, but I think it's something you can do.
We can definitely do that, but I'll be smitten with this 698 right now, so I will forget this conversation until I watch the podcast, and maybe it'll be a reminder. But hit me up on that because we can make that happen for sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
You need to swing by the shop sometime.
I do.
Hang out.
Yeah. We'll
get
definitely.
up there. It's a really cool.
Especially if you're going to have that 698 up there.
Well, especially
come check it out.
If you hit the mountains or get to the gap or something, like I said, I'm kind of.
Well, let's plan a ride up there.
All right,
we need
you're on that.
I'm
make it. Yeah, all of us.
We'll
make a field trip up there. See what we can do together. So, all right. Well, Jeff, I'll let you close us out today.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning into the Throttle Stop podcast. Get down in the comments section. Tell us what you think. Tell us what he should develop next. And definitely, check us out. Subscribe.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff.
I'm Justin. Greg. That was Greg. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.